No draw.
No draw? Okay.
No draw. Queen. Okay. Espérame. 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 Espérame.
There you go. It's no draw.
Good.
You had the draw.
It's a draw, right?
You had it. You just didn't do it right.
Yeah, it's a draw. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know what I did wrong.
Hey guys, Brian here. Hope you enjoyed the game. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, and let's go over it, see what we can learn. And yeah, you gotta know your endgame cold, especially in blitz when the time is ticking down fast. But let's quickly go over how black could have won this game and how white could have drew. I think this was black's game to win. He had a lot of opportunities to win, but let's go here in this position. And white actually had a draw here. White played rook takes, but if you want to go move back, pause the video. How can white draw here? Okay, the move is rook d8 check and king back, and white can kind of keep on checking this way. If black decides to go back here, then king h7 would actually be a mistake because it's mate. So basically black has no choice but to kind of get checked back and forth here. So that was one way white could have drawn the game. But let's go a little bit later. How could have black closed out the game? Again, many ways, but we don't have time to cover them all, so let's go through this one. In the game, we had rook d1, but if you want to go move back, pause the video, what would have been another move for black here? Alright, it is rook g4, targeting this pawn, but then you're thinking, why can't white defend with bishop h4? Nope, because you have g5, and bishop is trapped, so easy win for black here. Alright, and let's go, how could have black won one more time here? Alright, so in this position, kind of had the trade here, but keep in mind in the endgame, you don't have to take back. You can, black took here, but if you want to go move back, you can just push. And this black king is stopping the pawn here, and now white has to remaneuver his bishop to make sure this pawn doesn't queen, but it's going to be a lost cause here. Basically, the rook will clean up and the king will guard the queening square, and once it queens, then bishop has no choice but to sack itself. Alright, but let's go. I think this was the main story of the game here, and yeah, it's easy to judge players, but when you're playing live and the time is ticking down, it's mistakes can be made. So this is why you got to know your end games extremely cold, especially when it comes to blitz. Otherwise, you can't guess with the time pressure that comes with blitz. So in this position, Martin was right. This was a draw, and in the game, black played, Stony played king d5, and then Martin played king e2, but let's go move back here. Alright, we're going to learn 3 concepts today, kind of help your endgame here, and first one is, opposition, and opposition is when 2 kings are on the same file, on the same color with odd number of squares in between, and it's your opponent's turn to move. So here white has the opposition, and if he plays correctly, he can draw the game. Another point to keep in mind is if you're the one with the pawn, you generally want to keep your king in front of your pawn, which to kind of clear the way so that your pawn can queen. But that's one rule to keep in mind. And then the last rule, last thing to keep in mind is if you can get your king here, and let's say your pawn is here, then the king is guarding these 3 squares and you can escort the pawn up. So kind of a neat shortcut to remember whenever you're gonna get to that situation. But all right, let's go here in this position, and you want the opposition when you're playing like this. So in the game, Martin played king e2, which was not the right move. How can white draw this game? Alright, white wants to get the opposition, so all he has to do is play king d3, right? And now you're going to have this dance here, and white can just copy black, and then black's going to get sick of it and say, hey, I'm not moving over this time. This time I want to push the pawn. Alright, so now I think this is where a lot of people get confused as to what to do when you're white. Alright, so let's explore white's options here. Alright, so black is controlling these 3 squares. So white has 5 leavable moves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right off the bat, you can cross off these 2 off the list because you're kind of moving away from the action. You want to stay here. So that just leaves 1, 2, 3. And but going back, there are 5, right? So believe it or not, only one of these moves draws. The rest, you lose the game as white. Only if black knows what they're doing. So, alright, so we eliminated these 2, right? So what about king back, right? If king back, what can black do? Black can gain the opposition by playing here, right? So that's not a right move. That's not the move. What about here? Same thing, black can get the opposition here. So, just to show you guys visually what that will look like. Now here black can outflank white here. And here he can push. And now, well, you can go that way or you can go this way too. And remember that pattern I told you about. Now the king is guarding these 2 squares and can escort this pawn to victory here. So that was one. So coming back here, let's say king moves here, right? It's the same story here. Black is going to outflank and queen. So the correct move is, let's go back here. Where are we? Wait, where are we? e5. Yeah, the correct move is king e3. And now, you know, obviously black doesn't want to go here or here. He can't go here. So, and you don't want to stay behind your pawn. So e4. And now what can white do? In this situation, kind of a general rule of thumb is to kind of keep your king in front of in the file of the pawn. And it's okay to move backwards because backwards is a flexible move. Then you can mimic what black is going to do. So for example, king e2, and now if king comes up, then just simply get the opposition here. Check, keep in front of the pawn. And here, even though black has the opposition, the pawn is in between them, so black can just stay on the file, move back. If, you know, black pushes, then comes out. And this is going to be a draw. King moves anywhere else, then king grabs. If king protects, then that's stalemate. So that's how white could have drawn the game. But let's go here in this position. So this was black to move, right? Black to move and win, but black played e5 here. So going back, what was the best move for black here? Right, you want to gain the opposition, so you play king e4. And now what's white going to do? Doesn't matter which way white goes. And if king e1, then you can start pushing the pawn here. Kind of have reserve tempo, but one thing to be careful of here is you don't want to push the pawn here. You want to gain the opposition and then outflank your opponent for the last row and just queen to victory. So you want to keep the king in front of the pawn there. So here in this position, let's say king f3, then black has this reserve tempo and he can just and if white moves there, then again, get the opposition king in front of the pawn and just queen. And going back here, let's say e4, and then king plays here, then remember that pattern I told you, right? Just move this here, and all the 3 squares are guarded, and easy win for black. Yeah, so got to know your endgame cold when you're playing blitz. Yeah, a lot of stuff to remember. And if you don't know it cold and you're playing blitz, then because usually people are down to time pressure, it's not, you can't guess. I mean, you can get lucky, I guess, but for the most part, you got to know it cold. Otherwise, if your opponent knows their endgame cold, then they'll probably win the game. So yeah, that was a long analysis. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the game. Hope you guys enjoyed the analysis. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, and thanks. I'll see you guys later.